Some people scroll endlessly, liking, watching, reacting, but their own profile feels almost untouched. No selfies, no posed moments, no updates that say, "Here I am." And if you ask them why, they usually smile and say something simple, "I just don't feel the need." But beneath that calm answer, there is often a much quieter story unfolding. Not dramatic, not tragic, just deeply human and rarely spoken out loud. This video isn't about judging social media behavior. It's about understanding a certain inner world, the psychology of people who don't post their photos online, people who observe more than they reveal, people who feel deeply but express selectively, and often people who are misunderstood as distant, insecure, or uninterested, when in reality they are simply careful with their inner space. At a surface level, not posting photos looks like a preference, a choice. I value privacy. I don't like attention. I'm not comfortable with how I look. Sometimes these explanations are true, but psychology is rarely that flat. Behavior is usually a reflection of something learned, something protected, or something once exposed a little too carelessly. For many people, the habit of staying unseen begins early, not because they were ignored, but because they learned that visibility comes with consequences. Being noticed meant being judged. Being seen meant being compared. And being compared slowly taught them that approval was conditional. So instead of performing, they withdrew, not in bitterness, but in quiet self-preservation. Psychologically, people who don't post their photos often have a strong internal identity. Their sense of self lives inward, not outward. They don't rely heavily on external validation to feel real, at least not consciously. They experience their life as something to be lived, not displayed. Moments feel more complete when they are felt privately rather than documented publicly. But there's another layer too, a more tender one. Some people stop sharing because at some point, sharing stopped feeling safe. They posted once, or many times, and learned that attention doesn't always feel warm. It can feel invasive, distorting, reducing a complex human being into a single image, a single expression, a single impression. So they choose absence over misunderstanding. Emotionally, these individuals often feel things deeply. They overthink what others might see in them, not out of vanity, but out of awareness. They know how easily a photo can be misread, how quickly assumptions form, how fast kindness turns into commentary. And rather than constantly explaining themselves, they opt out quietly. There is often loneliness here, not the loud, obvious kind, but the subtle kind that exists even in crowded digital spaces. They watch others share milestones, joy, confidence, connection, and they feel happy for them, genuinely, but also slightly detached, as if they are standing behind glass, participating without fully entering. This can create an emotional paradox. They don't crave attention, yet sometimes they wonder what it would feel like to be seen and understood at the same time. Not admired, not validated, just understood. Many of these people are highly self-aware. They sense their own complexity. They know they don't fit easily into surface-level impressions, and so they hesitate to present themselves in simplified forms. A photo feels like a fragment, and they are tired of being reduced to fragments. There's also disappointment woven into this psychology. Disappointment in how quickly connection becomes performance, how expression turns into metrics, how worth starts being measured in numbers rather than meaning. At some point, they quietly ask themselves, "Who am I doing this for?" And when the answer doesn't feel honest, they stop. Internally, there is often a quiet conflict. A part of them wants to belong, to be included, to share something personal and feel received with care. And another part of them wants to remain untouched, unexposed, unanalyzed. So they stay in between, present but not visible. This doesn't mean they lack confidence. In fact, many of them are deeply grounded. They simply don't equate confidence with display.
They don't feel the need to prove their existence through imagery. Their identity feels more real in private conversations, deep thinking, shared silence, and emotional presence. Yet there can be moments of doubt, late at night, scrolling, seeing faces, smiles, bodies, lives, curated and shared, and a small voice asks, "Am I hiding? Or am I just different?" That question matters, because the difference between hiding and choosing privacy is awareness.
When awareness grows, something shifts. They begin to understand that their behavior is not a flaw, it's a boundary, one that formed for reasons that made sense at the time. Growth doesn't mean suddenly posting photos. It doesn't mean forcing visibility. It means knowing why you choose what you choose and feeling at peace with it. Emotionally mature individuals recognize this. They stop judging themselves through other people's habits. They understand that presence doesn't require proof. That identity doesn't need constant confirmation. And sometimes, with healing, they may choose to share, not to be liked, but to be honest. And sometimes, they may continue not to, and that's just as whole. In the end, people who don't post their photos are often people who live inwardly, who value depth over display, who understand that being seen is not the same as being known. They carry their world quietly, not because it's small, but because it's precious.
And maybe the most important realization is this: you don't owe the world access to you. Your existence is valid even when it isn't visible. Your story matters even when it isn't posted. Some people shine loudly, others glow softly. Both are real. And sometimes, the deepest lives are the ones you never fully see online.